Welcome. Tonight's guest speaker is Jill Valentic. She is the Director of Catholic Charities of Ashtabula County. Jill was raised in New Jersey and completed her undergraduate studies at Georgian Court University. She went on to obtain a master's in applied social sciences from the Mandel School at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. Jill began working at Catholic Charities in 2005 as the Protective Services Supervisor. During her years at the agency, she has been involved with all of the agency's programs and the services that they provide to our county. In 2008, she became the Assistant Director, and in 2019, the Director. She resides in Ashtabula with her husband, Roland, and 13-year-old daughter, Victoria. She's very excited to share with you some information about the many programs offered through Catholic Charities and answer any questions that you may have. Welcome, Jill, and thank you for being with us this evening.
Oh, thank you, Lorna. I think I could share the screen, correct, to put up my PowerPoint, correct? No problem. But I want to first start off, and I was mentioning this earlier to Pat, probably back in 1989, a friend of mine named, I won't say her name, but someone I went to high school with, and she said, have you signed up to vote? And it was when I was a senior in high school, and since then I've been voting, and she was a member of the Women's Voter League in club, actually, at our high school. So I've never shared that before until tonight. And I thought it was really kind of a full circle of being here tonight. So I appreciate the invitation, and I hope that some of the information here you'll be able to take back and think about. I hope it's thought-provoking, and at the same time, maybe if there's questions that need to have additional time, I'd be more than happy to come back another time and discuss with all of the members. So I'm going to just share the screen now. Okay, there's my name, Jill Valentic. Catholic Charities, we are located at 4200 Park Avenue on the 3rd floor, the First Commonwealth Bank, down in downtown Ashtabula by the Walgreens, I usually say. We're open 8:30 to 5 p.m. and we are open Monday through Friday. We are part of the Diocese of Youngstown under the Catholic Charities Corporation. So we also are affiliated with the Catholic Charities Regional Agency with the Trumbull, Mahoning Valley, and Columbiana counties, and also Portage and Stark counties. A lot of times people think because we're parallel to Cleveland that we're connected to the Diocese of Cleveland, but actually it's the Diocese of Youngstown. Catholic Charities has been serving Ashtabula County since 1944, if you can believe that, over 75 years of providing services to those in need. It was originally known as the Catholic Service League, and then eventually it did change into the corporation. I think it was back in 2001, before my time actually, where it became Catholic Charities of Ashtabula County. Just about every year we're touching over 10,000 individuals a year, but I want to say that number actually does not mean that it needs to be greater or lower. It's about who we serve and how we best serve them. And also we serve all of Ashtabula County. Sometimes we get calls from outside of the county, and usually what we do is refer out to our partner agencies that we know in the surrounding counties regarding any kind of need. But very rarely are we providing services to outside of the county. The one thing I always like to express is that Catholic in Latin actually means universal, and that means all are welcome. We provide services to all in need, so you don't have to be Catholic to receive services. You don't have to be Catholic to volunteer at our office, and that's the same with working at our agency. So sometimes we do receive calls saying, do I have to be Catholic to receive services or assistance? And we would say, no, you don't have to be Catholic to receive services. So sometimes that's something we have to explain. Our mission is to provide service to people in need, to advocate for justice in social structures, and to call the entire church and other people of goodwill to do the same. We serve, we advocate, and we convene with the community. This happens every day at our agency. We do have a website, and I have the website address wrong here. It's CCDOY. I'll have to fix that. But there you can pull up our services, even an application. If you are seeking out some of our services, fortunately, and I say this, when we go through the COVID age, you would think that we were going to be landlocked with our clients, but it turns out that COVID actually inspired change, and one of which is just trying to improve the technology access to our clients. And that's one of the many things that we've done to help reduce barriers for those in need. Not to mention, we are the information age, and people go right to their phone when they're looking for information. So we're doing whatever we can right now to provide that access in the palm of everyone's hand. Everyone has a cell phone, which is amazing. Very few don't have access to technology. And if a person needs access to an application and doesn't have technology, we will certainly assist them through the process, whether it's by mail or having them come in and receive a paper application, or however we sign them up for a program that they're interested in learning more about. Catholic Charities is, people ask the question, how are you guys funded? And, we are just not a one type of funding type agency. We don't have our eggs all in one basket, but just a little breakdown. We focus our funding in many different ways. We work with the United Way, many government contracts. You might be familiar with the Senior Levy or a Title 20 or TANF, PRC, which are all like assistance programs for families in need. We also have different types of fundraising along with one-time grants. And there's federal, like the federal and state level grants that we may pursue for housing. But in general, our budget comprises of a mixture of different budget streams, but our Diocese of Youngstown is almost half of our budget. And they're very generous to our agency, and it helps us do some of the extra stuff that maybe some of our other grants or contracts might have parameters on. So it helps us maybe provide in a different way with that type of funding. So why we do what we do in Ashtabula County? One of the myths, or one of the ways of describing Catholic Charities, is once you've been to one Catholic Charities, you've been to one Catholic Charities. So for example, if you went to the Catholic Charities in Erie, their services would be completely different from our services. So best way of explaining is that we do what we can to serve the gaps or the call from what the community is asking us to maybe provide or support or be a part of, or maybe we discover it through serving our clients. Our clients are sometimes our best researchers. They tell us sometimes what the needs are, and it does take time, but it helps us develop programs or improve programs or find different funding that's going to help our clients thrive. Just some facts that that bring us to where we are as an agency. Ashtabula County in general is known for 1 in 4 children are living in poverty. There's been studies out there saying about 15,000 people are in a food insecure position where they're choosing between their food, their housing, and their medical. So that could be really challenging for people in our community. 14.5%, which it may be higher, are without a high school diploma. 18% receive food assistance. And it's estimated that over 15,000 people may be disabled and possibly enrolled in some Medicaid program and or have a limited fixed income. One study I would like to share with you that kind of marries everything about our programming is that there's a report, and I can always share this with, send this to Jessica for you guys to review, but it's called the United Way Alice Report. And ALICE is an acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. This study actually takes place by pulling all of our census data, and it does a correlation of where poverty is and those that are actually working and the cost of living. And what this study has told us is that right now, 47% of residents in Ashtabula County are either living in poverty or they're the working poor. And so a lot of times we hear about the poverty, which is 19% according to this study, but also there's another percentage, which is the working poor, those that are maybe above the poverty guidelines where they would maybe receive assistance if they were under it. About 28% may be struggling to make ends meet. And so you're looking at almost half of the county really kind of figuring out how to meet their basic needs. I always say, but it does not define their happiness. So I always bring that up because money does not necessarily define the person's education, does not define the person's ability to thrive, their ability to have their own self-determination. So I always bring that up because you can have a fixed income, but it doesn't mean that you can't live a healthy life or a positive lifestyle. And just another fact, with our agency, many of the individuals or families that come to our agency fall at or below the poverty guidelines. And just a little tidbit, we're looking at a living wage for a two-parent household with 2 kids in Ashtabula County. That median income, or that I guess you could say the ideal income, would be $52,944. But the median income, meaning average wages right now, is $46,000. Now, if you're under, or if you're in the poverty cycle, generally that's because you don't have more than $26,000 coming in on an annual basis. So when we were talking about poverty, we're looking at 18% of our county facing poverty. And that means their income is probably at this level. So that means income coming in, ability to work, subsidies. It gets very complicated for the families and individuals we meet with. It's a big discussion, by the way, but I'm not going into that tonight. But these are some of the reasons why we're moving forward how we serve our community, because of this type of information. We have 3 areas that we focus on at our agency. It's basic needs, our protective services, and our education area. Our basic needs we're well known for, and that's working with those that have housing issues, whether they're homeless or at risk of homelessness, or maybe they're facing foreclosure or they need budget counseling. We meet with people who are facing utility issues, which again is sometimes a symptom of other issues, which is usually housing. And we also meet with people who are in need of food or hygiene or diapers or formula, clothing. And we also have a Christmas program that we work in collaboration with in the county called the HALO program. The protective services program, it's not necessarily a topic that's talked about all the time, but this is probably one of the most protective or most restrictive programs that we have at our agency, and probably in our county, that serve the most vulnerable. And that is our representative payship program, where we work in conjunction with our Social Security Administration, and we help those that are not able to manage their monthly budget, so that we become actually their fiduciary through the Social Security Administration, and pay their monthly bills and help manage their personal needs. And it's definitely a relationship about money, but it's also a relationship about helping our clients thrive. So it's also known as a very big homeless prevention program at our agency. We also have our guardianship of person or guardianship program, which is through our Ashtabula County Probate Court, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And then our education area, where we're actually in more group formation. We have our financial literacy, our Getting Ahead program, Opening Doors, which is a parenting class, and our risk avoidance programming. So I'm just going to touch a little bit more about family services. Family services is really all about helping people that are trying to make ends meet. And a lot of times when we meet with individuals, they're not necessarily going to tell us everything that's going on because they're overwhelmed. You know, when we have, maybe, I'm just saying, if you have a stable income or you have multiple incomes coming into your household, sometimes when you have a hiccup or you have to, the washing machine broke, you may have savings to go and fix that. Well, we're not meeting with clients that are ready for the rainy day fund. We're actually meeting with clients to help them get to a rainy day fund. But in family services, it's about self-sufficiency and finding out where the person's at, not telling them what did you do? It's really like, what happened? So in this area, I mentioned earlier, Halo, right now we're in the application process, and it's our Christmas program, also known as Holiday Angels Loving Others. And this is where Ashtabula County comes together to help serve those in need for Christmas. And, there is an application process. In fact, between just helping families with providing toys and a meal for Christmas, we're also making collaborations for adopting families through churches and organizations throughout the county. In fact, I was going to say Mary Howe, she's very much involved in Jefferson and probably getting ready, if not very busy right now, with Halo. But Alice Harden is the coordinator of the program it represents our agency. So going back, basic needs. These are the areas that actually help us define how we can best help a household. And a lot of times, a person comes in and they say what their immediate need is, but what we find is that their immediate need is a symptom of a greater situation. And that's why we do our best to wrap around the services that we have within our agency and also outside of our agency. So as I mentioned earlier, we have utility assistance, hygiene, personal care items, baby needs, prescription assistance, food, and we even are able to maybe help a person who is going through the application process for Social Security benefits. So we try not to say that we're a one-stop shop because, one, we want to make sure our clients have choice. And that's where we bring in other agencies to see how they could be part of the helping process for that household or individual. And when we're working with homeless individuals or families that are trying to subsidize their situation with their income, we may be helping them out at Lucille's Loft, where we have a free clothing site, but it's actually really developed more into an area where we're providing other goods, such as like household items, towels, sheets, bedding of all sorts, small household items that they don't have to spend money on, underwear, socks, hygiene items. These are all the areas that we find that we're providing more of because of the need of really helping out with taxable items. It's a reality. And when you hear about Dollar Tree maybe not being Dollar Tree anymore soon, we know that that area is going to probably be affected, and focusing in that area of helping out those households with taxable items or items that they don't have to spend their money on is what we hope to do when we look at someone's situation. Earlier, I mentioned about housing counseling services. We are the only HUD certified agency with HUD certified counselors at our agency. And what that means is that we have the core competencies to sit down with an individual and look at their housing situations, whether it's a rental situation or a foreclosure or mortgage default. We can assist through court mediation. We can even help with pre-purchase counseling. We do have down payment assistance, along with budget counseling. And, budget counseling is not the best conversation sometimes at the beginning. But it's all about building rapport and helping families have a healthier relationship with their monthly budget, and hopefully create a trend where they can work towards a plan towards self-sufficiency, so they're not finding themselves in maybe, let's say, mortgage default or at risk. Our protective services, as I mentioned earlier, it's our payship program and guardianship program. Very interesting areas of services. It's not talked a lot about because it's really confidential when you hear about the type of work that we do here. But what we're doing again is securing someone's lifestyle. We're making sure that they're not homeless. We're making sure that they're not victims of exploitation anymore, or preventing them from exploitation, which we find in both of these programs, that when we are meeting with our clients, they've been a victim, and we are happy to be able to stabilize their situation and bring some peace to their daily life. Because sometimes when we're working with our payship or guardianship clients, they're the most vulnerable in our community. Those are the ones that you wonder about who's helping them. Most likely we are. So in our representative payship program, as I mentioned before, we do work in tandem with Social Security Administration. They're wonderful. They're always calling us, we're calling them. But the main goal is that we are helping out individuals that might be at risk, or they are suffering exploitation or homelessness. We're currently serving over 300 households and managing their finances. And honestly, this is an area that continues to grow. The waiting list is always, it's always there. But we're always moving, we're always working on that waiting list, because we know how important it is to ensure that someone is, one, paying their rent, or making sure they have they're spending money for the things that they need. We are funded here through the senior levy too, and seniors or the 60 and older that meet the criteria of payship, we take on right away. We work closely with adult protective services in those cases. Guardianship, another awesome program. This is working with many of the frail and indigent seniors in our county. And we also are working now with a limited group of individuals that are under 60. And those are with severe persistent mental illness. So generally those that we're doing guardianship of, they don't have appropriate family or friends. They may find themselves in a position where they're unable to make or speak for themselves. So this is where our program gets involved. It's two-part. We are designed to recruit those in the community who wish to become a volunteer guardian. And then we also have staff guardians that help as well. So we're always looking for volunteer guardians for this program. It is a very special program. I can't even tell you how many people that the volunteers have touched in this program. Has really improved the quality of life for those individuals that were deemed incompetent and didn't have the ability to make personal or medical decisions for themselves. So a great program, and it's expanding. Our educational services, we have all different kinds of educational services, but, and I think Jessica mentioned earlier our supervisor, Lynn West, who is her neighbor. She supervises the Opening Doors and Getting Ahead program, which is known in our community. These are group processes that really bring together empowerment. It's amazing when you can bring adults together in a room and discuss on topics that can really help improve your household situation. So like in Opening Doors, we've been conducting this class since 2014. This is focusing on with parents who have children between the ages of 0 and 5. I will be honest with you, many of the people referred to this program have been referred through Children's Services or the courts. But what we have found is those that have attended this class, they really felt, they were like, even though I was voluntold to go to this class, they were happy because they were able to really kind of do a coming of age because of the curriculum, and be able to help them express themselves and help strengthen their skills in their parenting, not only just skills, but also thought process and how to improve things in the future. So one, if they needed to regain custody of their child, they're wiser, or they're more confident about their approaches. But the ultimate goal of opening doors is to become your child's leader in education. And we've been doing this for quite a while. It's been great. Our Getting Ahead program is one of our newer empowerment programs. It's, I see a little typo here, so I apologize, but it's a class that we've been conducting virtually, but now we're actually starting to do it in person with COVID lifting. But this is based off of the Bridges Out of Poverty initiative. We meet for 8 weeks, 2 times a week. And it's all about the group coming together and helping build upon each other's information on resources and personal experiences. And there is a guided curriculum on this as well. And it's well received within the community. What we find is that many of the individuals who are coming from Opening Doors or maybe another type of group outside of the community, they want to find another class to do. And this is usually the class that bridges bridges to our participants. I'm just watching on time, but we do conduct financial literacy classes as well as one-on-one. And we also have a risk avoidance program where we're in the school systems where we talk about, and it's a guided curriculum, evidence-based, where we discuss the risks of risky behavior. And this is to help empower students with their future, and also talking about not just abstinence, but also abstaining from drug use, or just understanding what a healthy relationship is. Our agency wouldn't be where we're at if we didn't have collaboration. You can't be a standalone agency. The one thing is that our programs, just like our programs help other programs at other agencies, it's the same on the other end. If we didn't work together, we wouldn't be able to bring people to the services that they're looking for or seeking. And one of the things that's most important is that we communicate the programs that we provide, but also know and have knowledge of the other programs outside of our agency. And that's what creates not just resiliency, but it creates a network where it doesn't feel siloed in our community, more of a working collaboration. And Ashtabula County does a fabulous job at that type of approach. So everyone should be proud in this room about Ashtabula County. And I will tell you that every time I go to a conference or anything, everyone says, Ashtabula County, everyone works together there. And every time I go to a meeting in my county, nobody does what you guys do. And I take that as a huge compliment. Obviously, we're the largest county geographically, but we're small. So we know population-wise, our grants or funding they're not going to be as big as some of the larger entitlement counties. But so we know that we need to make sure that our resources or our grants that we have, that we're using it wisely, and that we're collaborating with everybody to make sure that not only are we not duplicating services, but we're reaching out to making sure we're maximizing the best way to help a person in need. So, I mean, I could throw out all the people we talk to on a regular basis. It's just amazing. So that's my little collage. Volunteer opportunities, I'm always asked about that. Volunteers are amazing. Lorna, I look at it as volunteers come here to help us in many different ways. And they tell us what they feel comfortable doing. And we share with them what we do, and they get an idea of how they like to best help. Sometimes it's helping in the office. Sometimes it's helping for Halo. Sometimes it's a volunteer guardian, or someone who wants to do a fundraising event for us, which that does happen. We've had students come meet with us and say, how can I help? Catholic Charities or the people you serve. You know, there's a lot of different ways of volunteering. We just appreciate that. And, you know, when you pull together all the hours, sometimes it adds up to over like 2 full-time employees based off of the time that people put in, which is amazing. Volunteers are a huge piece to our agency, and it's greatly appreciated. Annual fundraising events. Our agency is known for Men Who Cook. It has been on pause due to COVID, so we're not sure what that's going to look like in the future. So I have nothing to announce there, but we do have our Halo dinner dance that's coming up, which supports toys and food for our Halo program. That's November, actually it's November 6th. I don't know why I have 13th. Sorry about that. I should fix that. Hold on. I'm going to fix that really quick. The fundraising piece is we're hoping that COVID is emerging away, and that we start being more involved with community outreach. So stay tuned for more events from Catholic Charities. And really, I mean, okay, good. I was trying to leave room for questions. There's a lot that I could have shared tonight with you, but I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. But I would love to answer any of your questions. And if I don't have the answer to the question, I can certainly bring that back to you guys in a form of an email, or come back another time. So any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
I know that in years past, Catholic Charities and Children's Services both did foster care and adoptions. Is that all? Where I know foster care is through Children's Services. Are they the only ones that do adoptions now, or where does that go?
Well, the adoption process has changed quite a bit because no one was adopting babies. That's the process of how it used to be. There are now private companies that do the adoptions. There isn't one in Ashtabula County anymore. I know that if there was someone that needed information, I would then provide them. I would call the diocese and kind of link them to those resources, because it's actually not asked about often. But the foster piece, definitely Children's Services can link to services, but I don't know if they're. I know that they have their program, but I think they're also linked with other services, private services, to help with the increase of foster needs. But I know that they do the training still for that to become a foster parent.
So if somebody wanted to give up their child, their baby, say, where would they go, or how would they do that? It would go through a private group?
Most likely it would be a private group, but if someone called our agency, I would call the diocese and make sure that they're being connected to there's so many changes all the time, because there's less and less adoptions for babies that I always check with them. Children's Services is the other area that's always also referred as well. Good question, Mary. Because our agency was actually known in the beginning as an adoption agency. And when I've heard the stories of babies being dropped off at our doorstep, or going to visit the hospital for the adoption process, it was very frequent through those years. But it really changed in the, I'm going to say probably 2008-9 when they started seeing more need for fostering children.
Jill, how do our poverty or at-risk population compare with Trumbull or Mahoning County? Do you have any stats on that?
I don't have any stats, but when we're looking at funding that comes down for the larger counties, it is substantial. So I know that the need is there. Also, when we look at the larger counties, they tend to have, like, I'm going to say, because of the higher population, the poverty levels most likely higher. But I don't get too much information on that on a regular basis. But we are in our agency, along with several other agencies in Ashtabula County. We are in a region for housing. So for more of the rural counties, but every time we're talking about our rural counties, we hear about the rising need in the larger counties. So I would say it's pretty much the same, just the numbers vary because of population variances.
Do you have a problem serving the people in South County because of the lack of public transportation we have in this county?
You know, what we're finding now, one of the things with COVID, when COVID occurred, right before COVID, I was having a conversation with Bart Klingensmith from Country Neighbor, and we were actually working on having a video meeting conference room in both of our offices. So if there was someone in need in South County, we can, instead of having that person travel up, that we would set up that appointment there. And then all of a sudden COVID hit. And what we're finding, Lorna, is that now that we've become more tech savvy, a person does not have to come to our agency to fill out an application. They can do it virtually on their phone, or they can go on our website. And we then contact them over the phone. And if we needed to do a video, a Zoom call, and meet with them through technology, then we'll do that. So that actually has been a positive on our end for our clients, because now imagine someone who's coming from second shift from work and they need to reach out to our agency. They can fill out the application at any time versus come to our agency, leave work, come to the agency to fill out a paper application. You don't have to do that anymore. So the South County piece, it's more about helping people understand how they can get access to services. So our county 211 is one thing that we do, make sure that we get the word out on that. So if there is a need, they can call the 211 hotline, and that 211 hotline will help them, give them the choices of what services are out there based off their need. I'm not going to say that there isn't an issue down South County reaching out. I think it's more about communicating our services versus getting the services now. So.
I'm gonna ask a question. What's your greatest need? So right now, looking at the maybe 3 months, 6 months, and a year ahead, what does the Catholic Charities need the most?
Well, if I had a magic wand, safe, affordable housing. It's one of our biggest issues, I think, in our county, and to define it, that's like a whole nother hour talk show with me. But along with that is that when we're trying to help individuals who are homeless or at risk of homelessness, there's not enough funding now to help out everybody in need. So a lot of times there's housing issues where people are being evicted and they don't qualify for certain funding. So the funding in just helping someone in a temporary setting, such as a motel, or helping them find their way around navigating, sometimes it's transportation for the client. So even though every client has an individual need, we try not to make it universal across the board, because that's just not how we do things. We have to look at a holistic approach, because one, every client deserves their right to all their decision making, but also it's that right to self-determination. So if we say, well, you need this, you need that, it could steer them in the wrong way. So we try to make sure that when we say what we need most for our clients, it's really just helping out with these these emergency situations. A lot of times we're finding it's the basic needs of like immediate housing. So it could be motel assistance, it could be clothing, it could be hygiene items, food, things that help get the person started or situated on an immediate need. Our agency has been faced with, along with some other agencies and also the county with immediate needs with homelessness. And the reasons are for many different reasons. And most people would say it's probably with mental health or those struggling with alcohol or substance use, or it's both. And that's where it gets very challenging. So we may be working with a client many times or multiple times because of their barriers that they face on their own personal life. So I would say it's the basic needs piece on a regular basis.
Do you work with Beatitude House or Samaritan House at all?
Oh, absolutely. They're part of a housing network that we call coordinated entry. In fact, we are all providers working with those that identify themselves as homeless. So all of our agencies actually meet weekly to discuss open client cases, and that in a confidential way, of course, but trying to make sure that we're prioritizing those most in need, especially with Beatitude House, because they are limited. So we try to make sure that those that are on the waiting list, or let's say if there's any openings, that we're making sure that those households are getting housed right away, that where there's openings. Samaritan House has half capacity right now due to COVID, and not Beatitude House, but sometimes we might have families that are waiting at Samaritan House, and eventually they're going to go to Beatitude House once there's an opening. So it's a team approach. So I'm happy and proud to say about how we all work so well together to ensure that those households or those agencies are, they have the information they need on helping those households get housed.
And Home Safe?
That's the same with Home Safe. And I was going to also throw in recovery housing. We work very closely with all the different recovery housing. Again, it's a team effort, because someone going into shelter does not mean that they have all their needs met. So a lot of times we have to sit down and start by providing the person with food first before we can start talking about, let's go find you a place to live. It's really Maslow's hierarchy of needs, really talking about what are the immediate needs to help move you on to the next level of self-sufficiency. So all of the networks, in fact, I'm just going to bring up my little collage here. I'm probably missing some of them here, but many of the resources that you see up here, we're referring to on a regular basis, or they are to us. So again, if we didn't work together, we wouldn't be giving the quality care that people deserve and need. And that's where, providing choice, providing information, being the advocate. Sometimes we got to get loud, okay? Or sometimes we're seeing if there's somebody can help us in a creative way. There's not a day that goes by where we don't have one of these agencies calling our agency, or vice versa. Like I said earlier, we have a lot to be proud of, and as a county, because we do our best to make sure that we are using all of our resources wisely, and that we have programming that's going to be effective for our citizens of Ashtabula County.
Are there any other questions from anyone? I think we can all see that there's a huge need in this county, and very thankful that all of these organizations that you're seeing right now are involved in helping to take care of things. And wherever anybody can plug themselves in and help with something, it's a great thing. This is our community. We need to help make it better, which we hope that League of Women Voters does too. So,
Are you doing a blanket
collection?
Blanket drive. We did do a blanket drive recently, and blankets are still coming in. But yeah, anytime you have blankets, we will take them. And I'll give you an example. When the question of need is those, we have those that are in the streets coming to our agency and they lost everything and they're not ready to get into housing. So we may be giving them sleeping bags, or the jackets that turn into sleeping bags, or blankets. And even if they come back again, it's okay. If it's the second or third time where they say, okay, I'm ready, I need to sit down and talk to somebody because I can't do this much longer, that blanket could be the deal breaker. So it's amazing. It's amazing what touches people's hearts.
I'm gonna ask one more question. How large is your staff?
Thank you.
And your volunteer. Yeah, I'm just curious.
We're 18 people. We're 18. We're not a big organization. A lot of people think there's hundreds of people, but it's actually around 18. We have a couple part-time people, and then our volunteers really make an impact in some of our internal and also services for our agency. So on how we deliver services, it's amazing sometimes the traffic we might have coming through our doors. Now, it has slowed down quite a bit because of COVID, but it's also because we're providing more options not to have to come to the agency, not because we don't want them at our agency. That's not the case. They may come to our agency, but we could start the process in their home, which I think is actually the wave of the future. But we are people. So, any way we can sit down and meet with people face to face, we will, of course, in a safe way. But that's what we're finding is that we're moving towards technology. We're actually in the process of improving our process with our rep payship program with technology to help our payees who receive their checks, because the mail is so slow that hopefully they're going to have a debit card in their hand to help get their daily, those that can manage one, of course, their weekly or monthly allowance. So that's another way of helping out our clients feel more involved in their programming.
So quick question, as far as working for your organization, volunteering for your organization, as somebody that teaches, what skills do you need? So what skills can I give to my students that they're going to take to come to your organization and work for your organization or volunteer for your organization are most in need? So you say tech, I'm wondering if, we can't find somebody that wants to intern with Catholic Charities that can take on and help you with tech. So just what I know that you said we have a hard deadline at 8 and I don't want to take too much of the time, but I'm just thinking of how I can shift in my other kind of identity, some folks towards you.
Well, one I would say is share with them our mission. So they understand that we are serving people in need and we're all about advocating, and that, if serving, working for, volunteering for an agency that one is faith-based, but also is in the community trying to help people meet their basic needs, and they want to learn, this could be an opportunity. And the behind the scenes piece is sometimes the worker bee stuff. You know, the amount of emails and faxes and texts and, you know, just putting together our clients' paperwork in itself is a job. But also being able to assist with tasks that we have that maybe we wouldn't have help with otherwise, that we would have to do. So it's really someone who hopes to understand and learn about what working for a nonprofit is all about. So I would say majority of the help is in all of the programs that I just mentioned before. So I would also say it would be a time to come in for an interview and help them get to know what we have in the programs, as well as, you know, listen to what kind of areas that we might have immediate need for, because it does change different times of the year. So
I'll share this video.
Jessica, you're going to put the video on our website?
It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on our on the League of Women Voters YouTube. I'll share it on social media, and it will be on the website.
Okay, and Janet, could you send out an email to the membership to tell them that, you know, they can watch it? Hopefully Janet's still there. Somebody can do that. Either Jessica, either you or Janet, if she's still with us here.
Okay, I'm here and I will do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So to Jessica, so they can link to that by going to the website, to the Facebook page, or just go directly to the YouTube of League of Women Voters.
Probably the easiest place, because social, it will fall down in social media, will be our YouTube. And so if you want, as soon as downloaded and uploaded, I will send you a link. And we'll also we can put this in our newsletter too. So.
Okay, yeah, if you'd send me the link, then I'll send it out to everybody. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to share. Lorna, when Lorna asked, I was like, absolutely. Anytime to be able to share a part of what we do, but also be a part of what you guys do, because it takes a community to make an impact. And, you know, I thank you guys. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been voting at 18. So, I mean, I look at how you've helped me. But it's important that we continue to pass along what happens in our community. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call anytime. Our number is 440-992-2121. My extension is 7027. And my email is JILL, V as in Victor, @doyccac.org. So I welcome your questions or calls or, I don't know, high fives. It doesn't matter either way. So, but thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that wraps us up for tonight. And next month in November, we are scheduled to meet with Richard Dana, who's going to do some talking about the history of suffrage, women's suffrage in this county. So I think that'll be an interesting one for all of us. All right, good night and goodbye.